You didn't find this video. This video found you. And it found you because something inside you has been shifting for weeks, maybe months. That restless energy that won't let you sleep. That feeling like your skin doesn't fit anymore. That sense that you're standing at the edge of something massive, but you can't see what it is yet. That's not anxiety. That's not fear. That's the frequency of comeback. And if you're watching this right now, in this exact moment, it means you're closer than you've ever been. You're not breaking down. You're breaking through. And everything you've survived up until now was preparation for what's about to happen next. Let me tell you what's really going on. You're in a chrysalis. And I know that sounds poetic, but stay with me because this is the most accurate description of where you are right now. When a caterpillar enters the chrysalis, it doesn't just grow wings and emerge beautiful. It completely dissolves. Its entire body breaks down into cellular soup. Everything that made it a caterpillar liquefies. And for a period of time, it's neither caterpillar nor butterfly. It's formless, undefined, in between. And if you could ask that dissolving caterpillar how it feels, it would tell you it's dying. It would tell you everything's falling apart. It would tell you it's never gonna make it. But it's not dying. It's transforming. And transformation always feels like death before it feels like rebirth. That's where you are. You're not falling apart. You're dissolving so you can reform into something that can fly. And I know how this feels. I know that every morning you wake up and wonder if today's the day something finally clicks. I know you've been fighting the urge to give up because it feels like you've been in this in-between space forever. I know you look around and see other people living the life you're trying to build and wonder what they have that you don't. But here's what you're not seeing. Those people, they had their chrysalis phase too. They stood exactly where you're standing, feeling exactly what you're feeling, wondering if they were crazy for still believing. The only difference between them and you right now is timing. They're on the other side of the transformation, and you're in the middle of it. But being in the middle doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you're exactly where you need to be for what's coming next. Because here's what nobody tells you about comebacks. They don't announce themselves. They don't arrive with trumpets and fanfare. They show up disguised as normal days that feel anything but normal. They arrive in the space where your old life is too small, but your new one hasn't fully formed yet. And they always require you to let go of something you thought you needed to survive. Look at the last few months of your life. Haven't things been feeling different? Relationships that used to work suddenly feeling draining? Goals that used to excite you now feeling hollow? Places that used to feel like home now feeling like cages? This isn't crisis. This is clearance. Life is making space for what wants to emerge. Your system is upgrading, and upgrades always require deleting old programs to make room for new ones. The discomfort you're feeling isn't evidence that something's wrong. It's evidence that something's right. You're outgrowing your old life in real time. And that process is supposed to be uncomfortable. Comfortable things don't expand. Only uncomfortable things do. Your comeback isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world convinced you to be smaller. Before you learned to hide your intensity. Before you started apologizing for taking up space. Before you dimmed your light so other people wouldn't feel threatened by your brightness. What's coming next is going to require every ounce of strength you've been building. Every lesson you've been learning. Every moment you chose to keep going when quitting felt easier. Because comeback doesn't just change your circumstances. It changes your relationship with yourself, with reality, with what's possible. And once that relationship changes, there's no going back to who you used to be. The old operating system can't run the new programs. So your entire system's being rebuilt from the ground up. And I know you've been tired, soul tired. The kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. That's because transformation takes massive amounts of energy. You're not just changing habits or mindsets. You're rewiring your nervous system. You're building new neural pathways. You're literally becoming a different person at the cellular level. And that process is draining, but that exhaustion is starting to shift. You're beginning to feel something else underneath the fatigue. A different kind of energy. Not the frantic, forced energy of trying to make things happen, but the steady, grounded energy of someone who knows they're exactly where they're supposed to be. That's the energy of alignment. And once you tap into that, everything accelerates. Here's what's happening that you can't see yet. Your capacity is expanding. Not your capacity for achievement or success. Your capacity for truth, for authenticity, for holding the fullness of who you actually are without shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. And that expansion always feels like breaking before it feels like breakthrough. You've probably noticed you're different lately. You're saying things you never would have said before. You're walking away from situations that used to trap you. You're setting boundaries that feel foreign but necessary. You're choosing differently, responding differently, showing up differently. This is your comeback in motion. It's not a destination you're traveling toward. It's a way of being you're growing into. And the growth is happening in the dark, in the uncomfortable spaces where you can't see the full picture, but you keep moving anyway because standing still has become more painful than moving forward. The people around you are going to notice before you do. They're going to comment on how different you seem. Some will celebrate it. Others will resist it because your evolution forces them to confront their own stagnation. Your comeback threatens their comfort with staying the same, but their reactions aren't your responsibility anymore. You've moved beyond the need to manage everyone else's comfort with your growth. Your primary allegiance now is to your own becoming, not to keeping everyone happy with who you used to be. This shift might feel selfish. You might worry you're becoming cold, but what's actually happening is you're learning to love people from wholeness instead of need. You're discovering you can care deeply without caring everyone's emotional reactions. You can support without losing yourself. You can be helpful without being used. These distinctions weren't clear before because you didn't have the internal strength to hold them, but you do now. The chrysalis built that strength. The energy you used to spend managing other people's opinions is now available for living your life. The mental space you used to occupy with worry is now free for creativity, for vision, for possibility. And that's when things start moving. When you stop scattering your energy everywhere and start channeling it toward what matters, the universe responds. Opportunities appear, connections form, insights arrive. Not because you suddenly became worthy of them, but because you finally became available to receive them. Your comeback is making you dangerous. Dangerous to systems that require your compliance. Dangerous to relationships that depend on your dysfunction. Dangerous to anyone profiting from your insecurity. You're becoming someone who can't be controlled, can't be manipulated, can't be convinced to betray yourself for other people's comfort. This isn't aggressive. It's the quiet danger of someone who knows their worth without needing to prove it. And here's what you need to understand about timing. Your comeback isn't arriving now by accident. It's showing up now because you finally developed the internal resources to handle what comes with it. The challenges, the opportunities, the responsibility, the freedom, all of it requires emotional maturity and spiritual strength you didn't have before. You had to earn this capacity through experience, through failure, through getting back up when staying down would have been easier. Every time you thought you couldn't take another hit, but did anyway, you were building this capacity. Every time you felt like giving up, but chose to try one more time, you were preparing for this moment. None of it was wasted. Not the heartbreak, not the betrayal, not the failures, not the times you felt invisible. Every single moment was building the person who could handle this comeback. And that person is ready. Now, your comeback is revealing how much power you've been giving away. Power to other people's opinions. Power to circumstances you can't control. Power to fears that exist only in your imagination. As you reclaim this scattered energy, you're discovering reserves of strength you forgot you had. This reclamation isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it means admitting you've been sleepwalking through your own life. Sometimes it means grieving the time you lost to patterns that kept you small. But on the other side of that grief is something unprecedented. A version of yourself that doesn't just survive challenges, but transforms them. That doesn't just endure difficulty, but alchemizes it into wisdom. That doesn't just get through life, but creates life wherever you go. That's who you're becoming. That's who's emerging from this chrysalis. And once you fully step into that, there's no going back. Your comeback isn't just personal, it's generational. The patterns you're breaking don't just affect you. They ripple backward through your lineage and forward through your legacy. You're not just changing your life, you're changing the trajectory of everyone connected to you. This is why the resistance has been so intense. This is why the old patterns fought so hard. They know what's at stake. They know that once you fully become who you're meant to be, the old versions can't reclaim you. The chrysalis doesn't reverse. The butterfly doesn't become a caterpillar again. Once you transform, the transformation is permanent, and that permanence is what makes this moment so powerful. You're not just having a good week or a temporary win. You're fundamentally changing who you are at the core, and that change is irreversible. So, if you're here, if these words are landing differently than they would have months ago, you already know what I know. This isn't random. This video finding you at this exact moment isn't coincidence. This is confirmation of what's been building inside you for longer than you realize. Your comeback isn't coming. It's here. It's been here, waiting for you to stop looking for it everywhere else and recognize it was never separate from who you are. The restlessness, that's comeback. The discomfort, that's comeback. The sense that everything's about to shift, that is the shift. You're not preparing for transformation. You are the transformation. The chrysalis is dissolving. The butterfly is forming. And very soon you're going to emerge and wonder how you ever lived any other way. Now, if this resonated, if you felt that recognition deep in your chest, I want you to do something. Drop 4 words in the comments. My comeback is here. Not as hope, as declaration, as recognition of what's already happening. Because when you name it publicly, when you claim it out loud, something shifts. You stop being someone waiting for their moment and become someone living in it. And if you know someone in their chrysalis, someone struggling in the in-between, someone who needs to hear they're not falling apart but transforming, share this with them. Ask them to declare it too. My comeback is here. Because sometimes we need permission to believe what we already know is true. Subscribe if you want to stay connected to this work. And if supporting through super thanks feels right, it directly fuels more content like this. But real talk, the fact that you're here, watching, listening, I don't take that for granted. Thank you. The truth is, everything you've been through was preparing you for this. Every setback was setting you up. Every closed door was redirecting you. Every person who walked away was making space for who belongs. Every moment you felt like you were falling behind, you were actually being positioned. And now, all of that positioning, all of that preparation, all of that pain that felt pointless at the time, it's about to make sense. Because your comeback isn't about what you get. It's about who you become. And who you're becoming is someone who doesn't break under pressure, someone who doesn't shrink in the face of resistance, someone who doesn't betray themselves to belong. You're becoming dangerous, unstoppable, free. And that version of you, they don't need permission. They don't need approval. They don't need perfect conditions. They just show up and change everything by being fully, unapologetically themselves. That's your comeback. That's what's emerging. And it's happening right now. Not when you're ready. Not when it's convenient. Now. Because the person you're becoming isn't waiting for perfect timing. They're creating it by finally trusting what they've always known was true. Your moment isn't coming. Your moment is here. The chrysalis is breaking and you're about to fly.